It's time for your daily dose of all things Chicago sports. This is the Daily Score. Now, here's your host, Mark Grote.
Hi there, and welcome into the Daily Score. I am Mark Grote, along with our executive producer, Ray Diaz, and we are definitely starting the show talking about the Chicago Cubs because they come up with a big 3-2 win over the Mets. You'd think with 5 runs scored total in this game, there would not have been a lot of consequential offensive moments, but there certainly were in this game, including Mike Tauchman, the amazing Mike Tauchman, just keeps making big plays and coming up with big hits. The kid from Palatine, the Palatine Pounder, went to Bradley University, but it was a massive hit that he had in the 8th inning of the game last night. Cubs and Mets were tied at 2, and then this.
3-2. In the air, left field, pretty well struck. That one back on its way. Gone! Mike Tauchman the other way. Cubs 3, Mets 2. Can't stop him.
Can only hope to contain him, right, Boo?
Just such a sound baseball player. And I don't know if he's going to be with the Cubs now, or I should say in the future, but what a contributor he has been to this season. And when he came up, it was like, who is this guy? Oh, okay, so he's from Palatine, big deal. Why is Mike Tauchman playing? The guy is just a solid baseball player. Also made a terrific defensive play in that same 8th inning. So Mike Tauchman, man, continues to do great things for the Chicago Cubs. The next guy I want to talk about is Jameson Taillon, who is slowly but surely putting together a nice second half of the season. It's been imperfect. He did what the Cubs did in the first game of the series, and that is give up a home run to Pete Alonso, gives up a 2-run blast in the first inning, a ball that looked like it was just going to be off the wall for an RBI double. But the replay clearly showed that the ball did go over the line, and it was a 2-run homer, no doubt about it. So Taillon from the beginning, it's like, here we go again, gives up the early runs. But, man, did he settle in last night. Ended up Taillon with 7 innings, 2 runs on 7 hits and 7 strikeouts. And that's the kind of stuff you need. That's why a guy like that is here. That's why he gets a multi-year contract like he did with the Chicago Cubs to be a real part of this team. And he's starting to become a real part of this team. Next guy I want to talk about is Adbert freaking Alzolay. 11 straight saves now, I think it is, for him. What a revelation he has been. From starter to reliever to starter to closer, and he's thriving in the role, and he gets off on it. It's just sort of a perfect marriage for him as well. Gets Dan Vogelbach, big Dan Vogelbach, to ground into a double play to end the game. I was thinking about Vogelbach too, the former Cub. I do believe that Vogelbach will be a Cub again someday. It just feels like it. It just, everybody always could use a hitter. And Dan Vogelbach, he's getting around now, starts off in the Cubs organization, goes to Seattle. Cubs get Mike Montgomery back in that, of course. And that worked out, right? Because Mike Montgomery, last man standing in the World Series. But Vogelbach's played, for Seattle, Toronto, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, and the Mets. He'll make his way to the Cubs for sure at some point in time. I also feel like Vogelbach will have played for probably, I'm going to say 17 teams by the time his career is over. He's great to have. He's just not keepable. You know what? You want to rent. You don't want to buy when it comes to Vogelbach. I mean, there's some suspect parts of his game. 30 years old these days. So I do predict that Dan Vogelbach will be a Cub again someday. And then, hey, why not Cody Bellinger doing his thing last night as well? Take a listen to this.
That is hammered right field, on its way, gone. Cody Bellinger unloads number 17, a belly bomb, and the Cubs have cut the deficit in half. 2-1.
2-1. all of his home runs just look devastating. He continues to look and be dangerous at the plate. Cody Bellinger going deep as well. Jeimer Candelario, every once in a while you get one right when you add somebody at the trade deadline, and the Cubs got this one right. Jeimer Candelario with another couple of hits, and kind of nice that he was playing at the Mets in New York this weekend. It reminded me of July 3rd, 2016, when Jeimer Candelario made his debut. I was there. I was doing pre and post, and I remember it kind of took everybody off guard. It was sort of a surprise. Nobody had suspected that Candelario, who we'd been hearing about a lot, like he was the next guy after all the parade of players had made their way to the big leagues between 2015 and 2016. And then there's this one last guy, the second round pick, Chris Coghlan. Remember Chris Coghlan? Coghlan goes on the DL. They bring up Jeimer Candelario. They immediately put him into the game. Then they sent him back down a few days, I think like 4 or 5 days later. And he stays in Iowa or wherever they sent him for the rest of the year. Did not come back to the bigs, but he got a ring. He got his portion, his playoff portion, his World Series portion, and all that, because he was obviously traded the next season when the Cubs ended up getting 2 guys. Do you remember who those 2 guys were? Alex Avila, the catcher, and sometimes trades don't work out too. Justin Wilson, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Justin Wilson did not work. The lefty reliever was supposed to be really good for the Cubs in the back end of that bullpen, and just getting lefties out, and it just didn't work out with Justin Wilson. One other thing about this Cubs 3-2 win last night, just very entertaining game all around, was now 2 nights ago in New York, it seemed like the Mets people sort of, I don't even know who to blame it on, the umpires, but they had that rain delay where they were working on the mound for 10 minutes while the rain was pouring down, and then they kind of flubbed putting the tarp out on the field. So they had all that weirdness, the long rain delay 2 nights ago, and the Cubs end up losing that game. Last night, they had a PitchCom problem, the device where the pitchers and catchers, hook up on what pitch they're going to throw. The Mets PitchCom device was not working, which meant, coincidentally, that the Cubs were not allowed to use theirs either. So just good old-fashioned throwing numbers down by the catcher. But Boog Shambi and Joe Girardi, very entertaining, trying to figure out what in the hell was going on with PitchCom.
Little malfunction already, Boog. Headset malfunction.
Carrasco just handed PitchCom over to Buck Showalter, and now that's going to bring in the 4-man umpiring crew. The plate umpire is Lance Barrett. The crew chief is Alfonso Marquez, and he's at second. So I'm not sure what they're discussing here. I mean, we saw it happen earlier this year as Kyle Hendricks took the mound. He took too long to warm up. In some ballparks, you don't even see the clock. I didn't notice whether the clock was on, so I'm not sure what they're calling back for.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go over and explain it to David Ross now. I mean, it looked like Buck took the PitchCom from him.
He did.
And he's still standing outside the dugout, so you would think that they would bring him another one if that's what he needed, but...
All right, so it's being related right now that the PitchCom system is down?
That's what I just heard being communicated down here. The entire PitchCom system is down for the Mets, so they're trying to figure out how to handle it.
All right, so Buck Showalter is out there. Off the top of my head, that doesn't make a ton of sense just in terms of...
I've seen it happen before, Boog, and it usually takes them an inning or 2 to get it back up. And what they do is, I think when one side can't use it, they say both sides can't use it. So he's got to inform David Ross that they can't use it as well. You know, delays happen frequently at this ballpark for some reason.
Man, we had one last night.
Yeah.
And Carrasco finishing his warm-up pitches. I mean, this is one of those things where they have a microphone. They really should let the fans of the ballpark know what's happening right now, why the start of the game is being delayed.
Yeah, unbelievable. Get on the microphone, somebody. They know what's going on. Boog Shambi, Joe Girardi, Taylor McGregor on Marquee Sports Network. Like, they figured it out. Taylor's down there on the field. She had it figured out. But no reason to let the fans know. It's a guessing game. Hey, it's baseball. Anything can happen. Yeah, the great American mystery sport. But yeah, it's been technical difficulties have been prevalent in New York. But most importantly, the Cubs win the game by a final score of 3-2. Let me get to the Bears here. Let's close it out with some Bears today. The Bears have their first preseason game on Saturday at noon. And at Soldier Field, probably the Bears will, my guess is, we're going to find this out later today. My guess is a couple of series, the starters are going to play. A couple series, maybe 2 or 3, something like that. We'll see. With the 3 preseason games, we'll find out what Matt Eberflus is thinking in regards to that. One thing I wanted to talk about from the practice on Tuesday for the Bears yesterday is Matt Eberflus set up a pretty cool thing at the end of practice, and that was the 1-minute drill, not the 2-minute drill, the 1-minute drill. Ball goes onto the 50-yard line. It ended in a Cairo Santos field goal after Justin Fields had to ground the ball with 0.6 left on the clock, which was wild because it was one of those times where, I mean, you've seen those games a million times in the NFL where it's the Bears or any other team where you're like, come on, you got to get everybody back around the huddle, get to ground the ball, stop the clock, and the Bears just were barely able to do it. Cairo Santos, to his credit, kicks the 50-yard field goal out on field 2 in Lake Forest yesterday. But Cole Kmet, the tight end for the Chicago Bears, had a lot to say about the 1-minute drill. And after we hear from Cole Kmet, I'll fill in some blanks and give you some nuggets from the Bears as well.
Yeah, that was good. They ripped me on a OPI to start it off, so that was great. I looked at the film, but whatever. And so they called that, and we kind of had to fight back through that, and we were able to get in field goal range there and get the field goal there to win it. So all these situations that we're working are awesome, and we got a lot of them. We got a lot more to go before the end of camp, but these are all things we rep so that when the moment comes up and these end of game situations happen, like we've had these this past year, we can go out and execute and win the game.
It was right in the final second there.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's about. So that's the difference in the NFL. So you got to be able to execute in those moments, know what everyone's doing, and everyone on the sidelines got to be in tune. The field goal unit, all those things. So like I said, just good situations to rep.
What do you like about where the offense is right now, and where do you kind of focusing on where you guys can be better?
Yeah, well, I still think we can just get better at overall execution-wise, playing and play out. You definitely see the details showing up where they weren't there last year. Guys definitely have a better understanding of the offense, so that's been cool to see. Justin's operation in 2-minute and end-of-half situations, he's calling plays. Like that's kind of cool. That's awesome to be a part of, and he knows what he wants to do, what he wants to get done. So things feel like they're operating a little more smoothly maybe than they were at this time last year. But like I said, we still got a long way to go.
That execution on that 1-minute drill, I mean, it wasn't just the OPI, like you said. There was also the sack, that 3rd and long, right? Yeah. So, like that, all of that specifically, do you think like that's a sign of growth? Last year, it seemed like if you guys got behind the sticks, that might have been it. Do you see this as an opportunity? Like, okay, yeah, we're really building. We got way behind the sticks in 1-minute drill.
Yeah, like I don't want to say like signs of growth. We got to go do it in games, and like this is practice still, and like we're doing these things in practice, and it's awesome to see, and like I feel like we're executing really well. But like what matters is the game. So like we got to go do this, and we can talk about growth when we see it in games, like, and that's for real. But like all these practice situations are preparing us for that. So it's good that we're executing now and we're doing those things now, but we got to carry these over when it's for real.
That is Cole Kmet making absolute sense. I mean, I think that goes for, that's good warning for all of us that whatever highlights we're giving you from camp, understand that it's very different when you're playing against your own team as opposed to full speed. That's why I can't wait for the first, in terms of like this first preseason game. I just can't wait to see line play. I mean, I know we all want to see what Justin Fields can do, and that'll still be the top story. But for my eyes, and probably a lot of my colleagues too, it's very difficult for us to express what an offensive line or defensive line is doing right now because there's just so little real hitting. There was another unpadded practice yesterday, but also in that 1 minute drill where Cole Kmet, with, as he said, the offensive pass interference penalty, the sack. I think it was Rasheem Green that got the sack. A lot of Dominique Robinson with the first string with Dominique, or I should say Walker, DeMarcus Walker, out and injured in this game. So I think he might even had a sack in the game as well. See, those are hard to tell as well. You just have to kind of guess sometimes with the sacks. But in the 1 minute drill, Tyler Scott had a nice grab down the middle, probably about 20 yards or so. DJ Moore with a couple of great sideline pass, or just one, I should say, that got them into the field goal range to begin with. So good on those guys. Tyreek Stevenson, and you can look at the good and bad of this. Tyreek Stevenson picking off a deep ball from Justin Fields. Fields hung it up there just a little bit too long, but you got to give credit to Tyreek Stevenson for making the play on a pass that was intended for Darnell Mooney. A couple other things, too. You should know that Nate Davis, the offensive lineman, did return to practice. I didn't really see him doing much real practice in the game, but Ja'Tari Carter was in there, the second-year offensive lineman, Ja'Tari Carter, playing at that right guard position. Also missing still Tremaine Edmonds, Kyler Gordon, Eddie Jackson was out, Roschon Johnson, Jaquan Brisker. I mentioned DeMarcus Walker. So that's, again, I mean, it's like a broken record in terms of, getting work with your teammates and the cohesiveness is not a good thing. And I'm hoping that we don't hear that there are any serious injuries. Matt Eberflus said that if it is serious, he'll let us know. If it's not, we're just supposed to guess, and that is day to day, and we'll see. So we'll find out. And by the way, Yannick Ngakoue, put a buck in the jar. He was out there, did not practice. I mean, he was going through the warm-ups. This was a premeditated thing that he was going to warm up and just kind of watch, and they're going to ramp him up. So no issues with him. I doubt he's going to play much in the game on Saturday, but we shall see. We're going to find all that out from Matt Eberflus very shortly. So that's what we have for you today. Thank you so much, as always, for listening to or watching the Daily Score. It means a lot to me. Also means a lot to our executive producer, Ray Diaz. Hope you guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you later on. Bye-bye.